Hi everyone, I'm Eduardo,
I'm Alexa.
and today we will make a comparison between the Huitoto and the Kazakhs. Let's go.
Today a friend is with me to explain better. Come in please. Hi. So, we will talk about the funeral rituals of each and their similarities. There is a distance of 13,000 kilometers between Colombia and Kazakhstan, and many years of history. But we can see similarities between their cultures. A part of that culture is in its funeral rites and how they are celebrated by each ethnic group. On the Huitoto side, the bodies of the deceased are placed inside a maloca in a sitting position. The Kazakhs build a yurt, which is almost the same as a maloca, to put the deceased inside and wrapped in white blankets, are very representative elements within their cultures, a way to provide protection to the deceased. The Huitotos only gave it a name depending on the way it died. For example, Aide if he dies young, Stafenaite if he dies old, and Faiga if he was being murdered. For they raise a flag in mourning, red if it was a young person, black if it was middle-aged, and white for the elderly. They have a way of identifying how their relatives died. It is a very characteristic point. However, in the Huitoto, it can only be known by the way in which they die, but not by their age like the Kazakhs. Unlike the Huitoto, the Kazakhs, if they take the body of the deceased to a cemetery where women don't enter, the Huitoto bury him in the same place where the maloca is. The Kazakhs' mourning can last for several days, in which they celebrate with games and lots of food. The Huitoto celebrate with dance the anniversary day. Finally, both groups have the habit of burying to deceased personal belongings with him. Kazakhs cut off the tail and mane of the deceased bed's horse, and the Huitoto bury their belongings to protect the world from the living. There are similar aspects of these two groups, but my partner has more information. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We are going to discuss about two festivities that take place in Kazakh and Huitoto cultures. One of the festivities that Kazakhs celebrate is called Mevlid, being this a representation of spring renewal, love, health, and friendship. On the other hand, Huitotos celebrate San Pedro Festival. This is a festival who currently represent the way of keep their culture through cultural exhibitions showed to people who is out of their community. A difference of what each one represents is the purpose. While Huitoto look for keep their culture by sharing, Kazakhs look for keep their tradition, making this symbolic. A similar element is that both festivities characterize them as own members, the appropriation of their cultures through these representative festivities. Kazakhs demonstrate and transfer their essence by building identity. As a result, they can define their culture. Instead, Huitoto's community is being gradually modified because their authenticity is constantly growing back from other ideologies that could mean the loss of their original culture. A similar characteristic is that both cultures are qualified by values. Kazakhs their identity and Huitotos their authenticity, becoming those values in a very important aspect in the development of each festivity. Values are an important aspect because they add meaning to their respective cultures. While Kazakhs only transfer their essence, Huitotos need to reinforce their value to avoid the losing of their roots. Kazakhs and Huitotos in their cultural exhibitions develop similar activities as cook or curious practices. For example, Kazakhs, while nowadays made a meal, have a cultural meal called nowadays kose. This meal is composed by 7 ingredients which symbolize 7 elements of life. They clean the house or plant because it will bring protection, peace, and harmony. They also sing and have horse and fighting competences. Meanwhile, Huitotos cook cassava, chili, and crop and drink smooth juice. They choose 2 people who will call grandfathers, and only wives can organize the festivity. Young people only participate and they wear with the specific features in their clothes. Both cultures, through festivities, look for shared gastronomy, beliefs, and symbolic elements that allow them enjoy themselves as a group of people identified by cultural aspects. Each practice contains a significant aspect that make them unique and allow us to recognize elements showing us how our world is dynamic and how everyone has a place. Yummy. This is instead with now it's made love. Community is being what? Could mean that veloz. ¿Qué pasó el perro? Kazakhs and Huitotos in their cultural exhibitions. Cultures. No me lo tires. A celebration. Another element is that both festivities.
Paramos.